Hi, this is Bob. Welcome back to Kramer's Garage. In our last video, we talked about the repair stand and the tools that you should have in the garage to get started doing your own bicycle maintenance. Today we're going to talk about what you need to have in the tool bag under your seat so that you can make emergency repairs along the roadside. Everything you need to repair that flat tire needs to be in the toolkit under your seat. So first and most importantly, you need to have a spare inner tube that's the correct size for your bicycle. Now, when I pack my inner tube, I put talcum powder in it. I put it in a Ziploc bag, and I put a little bit of talcum powder in it and shake it up. The reason for that is the talcum powder helps preserve the rubber, number one, and it reduces friction between the tube and the tire when you actually use it. And then it's wrapped in a Ziploc bag to protect it so that the rubber does not get scuffed or damaged while it's in the tool bag. So that's the first and most important thing you need. Second thing you're going to need is you're going to need tire levers. Usually I only need one, and I'll demonstrate this in a couple minutes, but I carry two just in case, and they fit neatly into the tool bag. Next thing you need is you need to have a way to inflate your tire after you put the new tube in. So I carry a Silca inflation valve and CO2s. I carry two CO2 cartridges. Occasionally you'll make a mistake and blow the CO2 out of one cartridge, and you need a second one. Also, you may occasionally run across someone else with a flat tire who does not have a CO2, so you can give them one and you still have one for yourself should you need it. The other important thing is a patch kit. I carry a small glueless patch kit. You can stick this over a hole in the tube for that rare occasion that you get the dreaded second flat tire on the same bike ride. Now you use your tubeless patch kit to repair one of the tubes, whichever one has the smallest hole in it, or the easiest to find hole. So that tucks in there. Then the last thing you need in regards to repairing a tire is something that's called a tire boot. These are made by Park Tool, and it's basically a heavy piece of sticky vinyl that you can stick inside the tire. You use this when the tire has actually got a cut in the sidewall. Usually the cut is no bigger than the size of a dime. The tire boot is about 2.5 inches long and 1.5 inches wide when you buy it from Park Tool. I have never ever needed one that big. So what I carry in my kit is I cut one approximately 1/3 of one off, and I carry the two pieces. If I have a really big cut, this one is big enough. If it's a normal cut, which is typically no more than the size of a pea, this smaller one is good enough. So I carry both of those pre-cut, because I don't have scissors with me on my bike. The other thing that could potentially happen to you that could prevent you from riding is a broken chain. So there's two things you need to repair a broken chain. You need a chain breaker. Park Tool makes a nice small one, easy to use, easy to carry in your tool bag. Okay, some people prefer to have a multi-tool that has a chain breaker built in, such as this one. And there's a variety of different multi-tools on the market. So this one has a built-in chain breaker. It's very difficult to actually use in the real world. So what I carry is a much smaller multi-tool, more compact. It has all the basics. This is called the Park I-Beam tool. It has all the necessary Allen wrenches and a flat screwdriver and a Torx bit. So it's smaller, it's more compact than the ones that have a chain tool built in, and you would carry this and a separate chain tool that fits in your pack as well. Okay? The last thing we're going to put in here is a KMC Quick Link. This is a link that can repair a broken chain. Make sure you have the one that's compatible with your chain. Your chain is going to be either an 8, 9, 10, or 11 speed chain, and the KMC links come in appropriate sizes for all of those chains. Make sure you have the right one and have it in your seat pack. I actually carry 2 of them, one for a 10-speed, one for an 11. My bike is a 10-speed, but most of my friends' bikes are 11, so I carry both. So that's what you put in the pack under your seat. Now we're going to move on to what do you do when you get that dreaded flat tire. Here's the flat tire. As you can see, flat, no air. So we're going to pretend that we're now along the side of the road, and actually before I proceed with this, we're going to take a wheel out of the bike, because you can't repair the tire if you don't know how to take the wheel out of your bike. First thing we're going to do is get the bicycle, and I'm going to show you how to remove the back wheel. This is my bicycle, and we're going to push this out of the way for a minute and maybe move the repair stand a little bit. Okay, so the back wheel is the hardest wheel to remove. So people frequently struggle with that. I'm going to show you the tricks. First of all, you need to shift your rear cassette onto the smallest cog. I just operated the shift lever to bring it to the smallest cog, turn the pedals, and let the chain drop all the way to the small cog. The second thing you're going to do is release your brake caliper. So I've now opened the brake caliper to allow the tire enough room to drop through. Then release your quick release. Hopefully it's not over tightened and you can't release it. And then you just lift the bike and the wheel falls out. Now, since we're going to repair the tire, we're just going to lay the bike down. If you're on the side of the road, you're just going to gently lay your bike down in the grass. All right? Now, let's go ahead and repair the tire. We're going to work on this wheel. This is a demo wheel. It's already flat. Okay? So, first thing we're going to do is take the nut off of the valve stem if it has a nut. Second thing we're going to do is push, and this is very important, push the bead of the tire off of the rim. Like that. I'm using my thumb to pressure that off. And then I'm going to use my fingers to pull the other side off. The center of the rim has a smaller diameter than the edges. The edge of the rim has something called a bead shelf, which is a larger diameter, and when you inflate the tire, the bead goes onto the bead shelf, making it tight. You have to push the bead of the tire off the bead shelf to make it loose again. Now this is where you use your tire lever. You lift the bead over the rim, and if you need to use 2 levers, the first one you hook on a spoke. This part of the lever is called a spoke hook. Then you take the second lever, go in next to the first one, push it away from you, and the tire comes off. Then we pull the tube out. At this point, we're not too concerned with trying to find the hole in the tube because we have a spare tube that we're going to use. But we are concerned with examining the tire to make sure that there isn't something stuck in the tire that's causing our flat. So you run your fingers all the way around the inside of the tire, feeling for anything sharp. You'll know you found it when you see blood dripping. Seriously though, if there's a thorn or a piece of glass or something stuck in your tire, you may occasionally cut your finger. So do this gently and feel for that sharp object. Once you've found the sharp object, this tire does not actually have a puncture, but once you've found the sharp object, you can pinch the tire and expose it and pick it out with your fingernail. Okay? So now you've gotten the sharp object out, you've discovered the source of your flat. Other causes of a flat tire besides a sharp object could also be a pinch flat, which means that you hit a pothole or the edge of something that suddenly compressed the tire like that, and it actually pinched the tube against the rim, causing what they call a pinch flat. In that case, you may find a small dent in the rim, but you will not find a hole in the or a debris, foreign object in the tire. Okay? In that case, you may find a small cut in the sidewall of the tire. If you find a cut, that's when you're going to put in your tire boot. You're going to peel the sticky part off the tire boot and insert it inside the tire like that behind the cut. That's what keeps the tube from blowing back out through that hole. All right, now to put the tube back in, there's a couple things you need to remember. First of all, do not get dirt in the tire. You're doing this on the side of the road. There may be cinders, there may be dirt, there may be glass. Do not get this in the dirt. I always set the wheel on my feet, and then I drop the tube carefully into the tire, like so, without dragging it in the dirt or grass or anything else. Keep it clean. Okay, now once you get it somewhat situated, we need to find the valve hole. It's over here. So we've got it somewhat situated. We're going to put the, what do you see in the back of my head? We're going to put the valve in the valve hole, and then we can pick this back up and get this situated. If you're in a group, sometimes it's helpful to have another member of the group help you hold the wheel to keep it up off the ground so you don't get anything in it. All right, now we're going to push the tire back over the brake track of the rim, back up over that lip. Make sure that the tube stays in place as you go around. Now when we get to the valve stem, we have to push the valve stem up into the rim and then pull it back out. That makes sure that you're not pinching any of the tube between the tire and the rim. Now when you get to here, it gets tight. On some rims it gets very tight. On a lot of rims, on most rims, you can just push this with your thumbs and press that into place. If you can't do that, you would very carefully take a tire lever and lever the tire on like that. When you get to there, when you get it to that point, then it's so tight you can't put the lever in, you're going to take your hand and go like that. And that puts the tire on the rim. Okay, now we're going to double check, make sure that we don't have any part of the tube sticking out anywhere. We're going to make one final push on the valve stem to make sure it's properly seated. Then we're going to put, if it's a threaded valve stem, we're going to put the nut back on. Then we're going to get our CO2 inflator. Most CO2 inflators have some sort of control device. There are numerous types of CO2 inflators, and there are two basic types of cartridges, threaded or non-threaded. I only have the threaded cartridges, so that's what we're going to work with in this video. I have a very old school Silca CO2 inflator. So what I do is I thread the cartridge in loosely. Once you thread it in tight, it will expend the CO2. So I thread it in just loosely. Then I make sure that the valve is closed, the control valve is closed. Then I press this onto my valve stem like that. So now, when I tighten this, it's going to pierce the cartridge, and I want to make sure that I'm engaged with the valve stem so any CO2 that leaks past the valve will go in the tire. Okay, nothing leaked past the valve, so I'm going to let a little bit in. Now the cartridge will get very cold. If you have a cycling glove, it's good to use that to hold it. There, I just put in a little bit and it pumped the tire right up. Now if you're using a 12-gram cartridge, you can open the valve and let the whole thing go into most road bike wheels. If you have a 16-gram cartridge, you may overinflate it with that. You should do that with caution. Press the tire with your thumb to feel how hard it is. Okay, this tire is now fully inflated. It's very hard, and I'm just going to pull that back off, like so. Okay, that's going to go back in the seat pack. I'm just going to secure my Presta valve with my fingers. I usually don't put caps on Presta valves on road bikes, only on mountain bikes to keep dirt out of it. But on road bikes, it's not an issue, so I don't do it. All right, now we're going to put the wheel back in the bike. So we're going to reverse the process of how we took the wheel out. So we're going to pick the bike up with one hand. The wheel is in the other hand. Now remember, we had that on the smallest cog when we took it out. So we're going to re-engage the chain to the smallest cog. You see that? And then guide the wheel into between the brakes and get it to the point where it's sitting on the frame like that. And then just slide the frame into position. Now what you want to do is lean a little bit of your weight on the seat to make sure the wheel is firmly in the frame and reclose your quick release skewer. Now in the process, my chain came off of the chain ring, so I'm just going to turn the pedal to put the chain back on. Now it's ready to ride. It's going to be in a high gear when you start out, so it'll be a little bit hard to pedal at first. You can downshift as soon as you start riding. That concludes today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Kramer's Garage, to continue seeing high quality bicycle and motorcycle related videos. Thank you.